Windows PC. We will first try to repair. If repair does not work, we will completely delete the BCD store and recreate it from the scratch.
Right, you can usually pick them up at Staples or any other big box store for pretty cheap. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this USB drive in the system real quick. And as you can see, I already have this one set up as a Windows install disk, so I don't actually have to create one, but I'm gonna show you how to do one so you can get one yourself. So I'm gonna close this up, and the first thing we're gonna do is open up our browser and search for Media Creation Tool, and make sure to pick one for the version of Windows that you have. In this case, it's going to be Windows 10, but this should work on Windows 11 as well. And if you're doing this in Windows 11, I would use the Media Creation Tool from Windows 11, but we're going to do Windows 10 right now. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and click on Microsoft's website. Make sure you download this from Microsoft's official site. There's no reason to get this from any other mirror. So you just click on Download Now, right where it says Create Windows 10 Installation Media. So once you hit download now, it should download it right here. Go ahead and click on it, and it will launch the media creation tool. And we can go ahead and close our browser here. And it's gonna take a second for things to get going here, so I'm gonna skip ahead to the next step. Okay, so right here, you gotta accept the user agreement, and it's gonna take a minute more to get this thing ready. So we're gonna skip ahead again real quick. Okay, so right here, we've got two different options. We can either upgrade this PC now, or we can create the installation media. So what we're gonna do is create the installation media. So we click on that and hit next, and then go ahead and you can typically use just the default settings right here, and hit next again, and then it's gonna ask us for either a USB flash drive or an ISO file. You're gonna wanna pick the USB flash drive. And then once you hit next, it will ask you which drive you want to use. Obviously, you would select the one you'd use and you'd hit next. And from that point, you just follow the rest of the steps and it should create the USB drive. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and click Start, type CMD, and then make sure to open Command Prompt as administrator. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is, since we're going to be messing with the BCD in this case, we're going to go ahead and back it up real quick. And to do that, we're going to use the BCD Edit tool. If you type BCD Edit and hit Enter, it'll show you what your current BCD looks like. And you can kind of see what different descriptors and stuff like that it's using in order to boot into Windows. So before we do anything at all, we want to back up our BCD so we can recover it in the case that something goes wrong. And you know, it's always kind of nice to have a backup in your BCD anyway, just in case something goes wrong in the future. So to back it up, all you have to do is type in BCD edit / export space, and then just name your file. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in cprop root bcd.bk for backup, and then hit enter, and it should back up your BCD. Now if we go down to the root of the directory, you can see right here I got my BCD back right there. So if you ever want to restore from a backup, all you would do is type in BCD edit / import, and then the name of the BCD file that you created. So in this case, it's going to be C drive root BCD BK, enter, and it'll go ahead and import it in. And if you type in BCD edit, you can see that it's the same as it was. So now let's break this system so it doesn't boot anymore. To do that, all you're going to do is type BCD edit / set, and then we're going to type in path, and then I'm just going to do \win, just like that. And then if we type in BCD edit again, you'll see that now the path is just set to root win, which is really nothing. But now what we also want to do is disable the recovery enabled, because we don't want recovery to go fixing our system. We want to do that manually. So I'm going to go again, I'm going to type in BCD edit set, but on this time we're going to type in recovery enabled, and I'm just going to change that to no, just like that. And then when we type BCD edit, you'll see that the recovery enabled is set to no. Okay, so now let's reboot this system and see what happens. Now the system shouldn't boot once I reboot it, so I'm going to go ahead and hit start, restart, and we'll see what happens. Might take a second to restart, but hopefully we've successfully broken our system. I highly recommend not doing this at home because, you know, there's no reason to break a fully functional computer unless, of course, you want to make a video showing how to fix it. And there you go. The system now will not boot. It says the application or operating system could not be loaded because of a required file is missing or contains errors. Yeah, I know it contains errors because I made them. So now let's get our USB drive, get this thing booted up into recovery, and I'll show you how to fix it. Okay, so you're gonna have to look at either your motherboard or your system manufacturer's documentation to find out how to boot off of a USB drive. On my system, I just hit delete to go into the BIOS and the boot menu is right there. On your system, it might be F12 for Dells, or on HPs, it's usually escape to get to your boot menu. However, once you get booted off of your Windows install drive, the next thing you have to do is just go ahead and hit next, and then instead of hitting install now, we wanna click on repair your computer. And from this point, it just gives you the regular recovery console. And then what we want to do is click on troubleshoot. And then from troubleshoot, you could try clicking startup repair. In some cases, that will actually fix your problem. In fact, I bet you it'll fix this system now. However, I want to show you how to do this manually. So what you're going to do is click on command prompt. And then from command prompt, the next thing you want to do is just type in BCD edit. And you can see what your BCD file looks like. And as you can see, here's the error in the BCD file that we introduced ourselves. But what we're going to do is the very first thing that we want to look at is we want to be able to get access to our UEFI drive, because typically there's no drive letter on that. So to do that, what you're going to want to do is just type in disk part. Give it a second to start. Sometimes it'll take a moment, but you'll get the right here, you'll get your prompt for disk part just like that. And once you get that, we're going to type in list disk. First you got to spell it right. List disk space. Alright, there we go. So now this will show us two different disks that we created. Now as you can see, disk 0 is 232 kilobytes. That's the one we're looking for. The other one, this is just our USB. We can disregard that. The next thing we want to do is go ahead and type SEL, and in our case it's going to be disk 0. But you're going to want to correspond with whichever disk the Windows install is installed. So once we hit that, we'll select that disk, and then we want to type in list VOL for list volume. And then from there, this will show us all the different volumes. And it actually does show the USB drive that we select the disk. That's okay. What we're looking for is this one. The drive number. It's going to be formatted as FAT32. It's going to be about 100 megs in size. This is our UEFI. We're going to type in SEL for select, and then type in VOL1 for volume 1, and that'll select volume 1. And then from here, we want to assign it a drive letter. So we're going to type in assign letter, and then we want to type equals, and then give it any letter you want. I'm going to give mine V, but you can give yours any one you want. Just make sure that you remember which drive letter you give it, because we're going to use that later in the video. So go ahead and hit enter, and it's going to assign that letter to volume 1. And if you want to double check just to make sure it has, you can always type in list VOL to list volumes, and you can see right there that volume 1, which is the selected volume with the little star right here, is our 100 meg partition. And at this point, we can go ahead and just hit exit. And then if you go to your V drive and run a directory, you should see an EFI directory. And if you go into that directory, actually, we're going to want to write CD EFI, not DIR, and then run a directory again. You'll see two folders in there called Microsoft and called boot. So we want to go into the Microsoft directory. So if we go into Microsoft and hit enter, do another directory, you'll see you'll have boot and recovery. We want to go into boot. And then from there, we're going to do another directory, and you'll see all these files in here. This is your UEFI bootloader. If you scroll up, you should see your BCD file right here. And that's the file that we modified. So what we're going to want to do is we want to start over from scratch. So I'm going to go to my C drive here, and I'm going to go ahead and format the UEFI partition completely. So for that, we just type in format. It's going to be V drive. And then we want to put /FS:/FAT32, because you want to make sure to format the UEFI partition as FAT32. Then when you hit enter, it's going to warn you that everything on the drive is going to be destroyed. Go ahead and hit yes, enter, and there you go. For the volume label, you don't have to do anything, just hit enter, and that's it. Now if we go back to our V drive and and hit directory, you'll see there's nothing on it. So at this point, we want to recreate the drive just like it was before, and this should solve any problems that you have with the bootloader. Now at this point, we want to verify where our Windows install is at, because normally it should be on the C drive. So if we go to C here and hit a directory, you'll see that, yep, there's our Windows folder, there's our user folder. So in this case, it is C, but you might have to look around. You can always go into the D drive and look in there to make sure that it's not there too. But in our case, it's in the C drive. We want to verify where the Windows folder is before we run this next command. So go ahead and look around your different drive loaders. To change drive loaders, all you do is just type in the letter itself that you want to go to with a colon and hit enter, and it will switch to that drive. So in our case, it's going to be C, so we're going to do that. We're going to run the command bcd boot space, and then since we know that our Windows folder is on our C drive, we're going to go C colon backslash Windows. We're going to hit space. We're going to want to go /S space V drive, and we're telling it what the UEFI partition is. In that case, it's V drive. Just a different letter of yours, and make sure to use that letter here. And we're going to hit space. We're going to type /F, another space, and then just type in UEFI. Hit enter. It should rebuild the UEFI partition. We're going to double check it real quick here, so we're going to go ahead and look at the directory. You'll see that we have a computer will boot into Windows. If it doesn't, I might have to film this section over again. I don't know, we'll see. But here we go. It should boot fairly quickly if it's going to boot. And it looks like it's working pretty well. So give it one more second and we should be in Windows. And there we go. We're back in Windows. Now, one of the downsides to this method